Hey everybody, it's John. I'm back. And next up on the rotation is a show and tell. And it's our show and tell. So if you want to see all of our show and tells, go to Amherst, and you don't have to do this right now, but go to amherstrail.org and just scroll down a bit and you'll see where it says read more and all that kind of stuff. Look for our show and tell pieces. So what has happened here is when we stopped having our monthly meetings, after we missed one, people started to, we missed a meeting, we missed the get together, we missed the donut at the end. And then we missed a second one. And then believe it or not, shout out to Tom LeWare Jr. Tom, he says, let's do something. And he sends an email and everybody started responding to everybody. So just through emails, I said, no, let's do one better. Let's produce something online. And we'll use a Zoom meeting or equivalent. We actually use GoToMeeting for that. But we record the sessions. And we did one right before Christmas. And it was like media blitz, shotgun, speed dating, show and tell. So we had 22 speakers on, and they were all supposed to talk for about 5 minutes. So if you do the math, maybe an hour and a half, a little bit more. It was 2 hours and 10 minutes. So we're going to play you the beginning of this, and we'll be back right at the bottom of the hour. So with that, let's go to the show and tell. It's show and tell number 8, guys, which is the one we did right before Christmas. So some of you that were in it, you get a chance to watch yourself, but you could have gone to our website to see this all along. See you in a minute or two.
This is the 8th in a series of show and tells. This is speed showing. We have 21 speakers this evening, and they each are going to show us what they've been up to, and it is a mix. We've got some exhibitors from our train show here. We've got a lot of people doing things, and we have just some stuff at random to show you what's going on. So with that, guys, we're going right to our first person, Bob Moore, one of the guys on the Dirty 30, which is an ON30 layout from Canada. They've been at the show for about 5 or so times. Take it away, Bob.
Thank you, John. Throw up the first slide. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through a number of slides here on how we make our mountains and hills. We're a module gang. We track our modules in and out of shows, up and down the stairs of the house, and so light is the key word. We can't use hydrocal because it's very easy to put 10 or 20 pounds onto a module, put a pair of modules together, and you're going to end up with a hernia. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this chunk of styrofoam that you see in front of us there. Next slide. And we're going to convert it into something like this. Next slide. So what we're going to do is, in that red area, we're going to build a mountain. And you'll see that the mountain goes across 2 modules, and we're going to build a hill. Next slide. So what we do is I want that mountain to be kind of close to the tracks, so I lay down a pattern, make it out of a piece of newspaper, cut it out. Next slide. And I transfer it to a chunk of styrofoam. What you see there is a 4-inch chunk of styrofoam. We use 2-inch styrofoam, 1.5-inch styrofoam. However high you want to go. If I want to go higher than that, 4 inches, which is what I'm going to do. Then I carve that styrofoam out, make another pattern, and cut out another chunk of styrofoam and keep adding it until I reach the height of the mountain that I want to create. Next slide. And there we've cut out the chunk of styrofoam for that little hill that we've got. Next slide. And so here you see the final product. What you're taking a look at there is you're taking a look at 3 layers of 4-inch styrofoam. We've taken a hot wire, we've taken a filleting knife, a little bit of sandpaper, and we just freelanced the carving so that it looks like something that we want it to look like. Now, when you carve styrofoam, it opens up the pores in the styrofoam. And so what we're going to do, next slide, is we're going to cover that styrofoam with about 3 or 4 coats of latex paint, the kind of stuff that you pick up at the Home Depot or any other place, the discards that you can pick up for $5. Doesn't make a bit of difference as to what the color looks like What I want to do is I want to seal those pores that are exposed by when we take the hot wire, when we take our knife and carve up that styrofoam. Next one. Here we are, we're looking at the other end because we're going to show you some pictures of both ends, and you can see how it's starting to take shape. Next slide. Now, normally if you're using hydrocal, you're using washes. That's an alcohol with some kind of a dye, can be any ink. However, when you're dealing with styrofoam, styrofoam does not hold washes at all. In fact, it washes completely off. So what we're doing here is we're applying a base coat of the color. Here we've got our expert, Graham Chase, and what he's doing there, he's applying a coat of blackish brown or brownish black, and that forms the basis from what we're going to be working on. Now from here on, what he's going to do is he's going to dry brush. That is, he's going to put some paint on the brush, and he's going to take 99.999% of that paint off of the brush. He's going to be using a bristle brush, and what he's going to do is he's going to dry brush the paint randomly all over that chunk of styrofoam that you see there. And he's going to start off with the darker colors. In this case, he's going to start off with a dark gray, and he's going to work his way up to lighter shades of gray. Next slide, please. And so what you've got here is you've got the various 3 stages. In the back there with the white, that's what we're starting off with originally after we applied our latex paint. In the front one, you've got that blackish brown being applied. And in the middle, you'll see where he's starting to add the gray shades to build things up. Next slide. And here you see the finished product. That mountain off in the middle is what we originally started off with. And we've added some ground cover. You can see on the right-hand side, we've got a whole slew of mountains there. That's what I call Cabano Canyon. So you can see how we've taken from a flat module and we've added some really nice mountainous effects, which separates the layout that we use. And this is freeform. Our last show at Springfield, we had a footprint, I think it was about 40 feet by 40 feet, I stand to be corrected. But it adds a really, really nice effect to it. Next slide. And here you see the final product. That's that same chunk of styrofoam that you saw in the first couple of slides. Next slide. And to really add effect to it, we add some ground foam. We put some trees around, and we've ended up with the final product. Next slide. And you can see how the impact is with the trees added, the ground foam scenery. It really does a really nice effect. What we've done there is we've taken a module which would weigh maybe 4 or 5 pounds, and all we've done to create that mountain is we've added maybe another 2 or 3 pounds of styrofoam so that we still have a very nice light module that we can truck up and down the stairs and are 360 miles from Ottawa down to Springfield. Next slide. And there we are. Over to you, John.
Thanks very much, Bob. What I really liked about that was I got to see some of those pictures were at our trade show. So that was cool. But now that I've seen these modules, I can't wait to see them in person. So guys, next, to move right along, is Bob Paquette. You've heard Bob a couple times if you've been here before. He's an extraordinary modeler. Been with us a few times. This time he took a trip to Australia. Bob, take it away. Yo, Bob. And guys, hold on one second. I'm going to see if I can help at all. Bob Paquette, are you out there? Checking, guys. Hold on. And we may have to go back to that, guys, which won't be a problem. But let me quickly show you a little bit of previews of actual trolleys in Australia. So we're going to worry about that once we can get a hold of Bob. So Bruce, surprise, you're up quicker than we thought. Bruce Leckie. Guys, another Dirty 30 guy. But Bruce,
We're all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. But Bruce, guys, is the one who got the Dirty 30 into the show. He brought his own modules. Guys, whoever that is, I need you to mute the line, please.
Are you guys hearing some music?
Yeah, someone's testing their speakers. And
That's a problem.
Bruce, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that might be you with the testing of the speakers, but that seems to have gone away. Anyways, so we could keep moving. Bruce, I was about to say, guys, Bruce is the guy who got the Dirty 30, the ON30 layout into the show when he brought his own modules down here originally. Bruce, take it away.
Okay. Yes. Here we go with the music again. Anywho,
Bruce,
that's first slide, please.
Yeah, I think that's in the background of you.
I can't figure out where to turn it off.
Do you have a microphone icon? A green microphone icon? Hugging.
I do.
Click on that. Because I think you're on the phone, anyways. Are you not?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. I thought you were on the phone.
Okay, so yeah.
Well,
so
do the best you can. Go ahead.
Okay, so anywho, go ahead. This is my corner module called Coralie Cove. The neat thing about this is that all these structures are made out of Clever Models cardstock textures, which I downloaded. I discovered the Clever Models at Springfield. The first year I was there, took a quick break to walk around, and I was absolutely blown away. So all the structures you see on the screen here now are all scratch built from my design using Clever Models structures. Yeah, so it's in 3 levels. The lower level has the track. Next level up has most of the town, and the upper level has the Rowan's Resort. Next structure. Okay, there we go. So this is another view. We're starting to look at the harbor now. I wanted a harbor scene to go around this, so I basically built one. The boat you see is an extended version of the Clever Models Clyde Puffer. I've added about 10 feet to it, changed the wheelhouse, and just generally plated it up. It's all cardstock on top of a wooden base. Next structure. So most of this is Clever Models cardstock textures, with the exception of the center building. That's a really textured piece of paper that Peter Gray found somewhere, and that looks really great when you work with it. The paddle wheel that you see is about the 3rd or 4th that I built, trying to get this to work properly. This is a disused mill, and it's now used by my son-in-law, if you will, who's a woodworker, so that's S&L Woodworking. Next slide, please. Now you see Emperor's Fish and Chips. All the signs on here, by the way, were made by my middle daughter, who's a graphics designer, so I tapped into that. You can just barely see some of the chairs there. Those are Muskoka chairs, or down in the States, Adirondack chairs, which I suggested to a manufacturer, Mini Prints, who got the suggestion from me on Tuesday, and by Friday they were done. So these are really nice 3D printed chairs that are just extremely fine detail. Next slide, please. So the reddish structure, if you will, there, that's Moore's Mercantile Emporium and Funeral Parlor, named after Mr. Moore, of course. There isn't now, but there will be a hearse painted on the backdrop.
Hello, my name is Gina Maria Allenberti.
What else on this? Again, they're all clever model structures and all scratch built. Next slide, please. So, this is the harbor scene. You can see the cardstock boat to the left. The white boat there is a Great Lakes fishing tug. I only have about 50 odd feet in that little bay there, and I wanted a fishing tug. The full-size fishing tugs are about 85 feet, so I didn't have room for that, but I stumbled on this one. This was working out of Lake Superior, so I built that. It's carved out of spruce with added details on it. And again, the fishery, the fish place is Clever Models cardstock structure. The crane is styrene. You can just see some seagulls there. They're mini prints. And if you look carefully, you see a lot of green patches. I used Envirotex for the water. And unfortunately, bubbles showed up there long after I figured they would have been gone. So rather than pour another thing, I just added some ground foam where the bubbles were. Next slide, please. And another view of the mill. Next slide. So here we can see I'm starting to mock up the structures. I take dollar store foam core board, and using prototype dimensions, I basically build a rough stand-in model, stare at it for a while, decide whether or not I want to make it, and then I actually build the model more or less to what I've designed with the foam core. You can just see I'm starting to lay track there. I've used popsicle sticks for the ties. They've actually worked out reasonably well, except for the fact that the rail height is slightly different from adjacent modules, so I have to take that into account when we're hooking up. Next slide, please. And you can see the structures that I've got there. These were all put together in one afternoon at a setup weekend we had up our way. Just basically we put our modules up, work on them together, and generally chit chat and stuff. Next slide. And there's another view of the Miss GJ, named after my daughter. Next slide. And that's it. And I will see if I can find a way to turn off this stuff here.
There we go. And next up, everybody, and oh, geez, that's a little bit better. Next up is Kurt Jelnick, guys, and our immediate past president. He's been a presenter before. Kurt, let me see if I can make sure you're on the air here. There you are. Yep. Kurt, are you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Here we go. There you go. There's your slides.
All right. So we're gonna make this short and sweet. Back in my last presentation, I mentioned something about mitering plywood to conserve material, and especially if you're making a helix and you got to cut all those radiuses. You know, regardless of how you try to splice it in or piece it together, you still end up wasting a lot of material, and it takes a lot of time to cut all those curves. So what I've done is developed a biscuiting method here, where you would take a sheet of plywood and basically make corners out of straight pieces. If you look at your photo on the bottom right, the bottom strip of plywood, you basically take and figure out your width, how wide you need them, and you know how long you're going to need the pieces. You rip your plywood, You cut your 15 degree, I use a 15-degree angle. You can use whatever angle you want, depending on your scale or, application. You cut your first 15-degree. If you're building a helix and you got to make 50 of these, it'd be better to set up a stop for your length. So you can just slide the plywood in, cut, flip it over, slide it in, cut, flip, and just keep on going for as many as you need. The leftover piece on the end, I would use to attach that in the module, the square C there, I would use to attach that to the rest of the layout. Or you could just cut a 15-degree and scrap the rest. It's up to you. But I actually put together 10 sections of this for a circle on my layout, session 6. See, of our thing there, it had a nice shot of it. And I actually put it up in one piece and then leveled it up on a 2% grade. Came out very, very nice. And it was very easy to work with once it's assembled. Okay, now your basic, you got to do these in the right order or you'll really get into trouble. Basically, what you want to do is put screws up from the bottom for blocks number 2 and 3. And those are going to be your blocks that you're going to use for your clamps to hold the pieces together. So what I've done here is, is you start by putting down a piece of wax paper where your seam's going to be. Otherwise, your pieces are going to be permanently adhered to the board you're working on. And then I put a screw in hole number 1. Actually, sorry, back that up. First thing you do is put a light layer of glue on each side, including to fill the pocket for your biscuits. Then you screw down screw number 1 on top of your board with your wax paper in place. Then you set piece B in place, line them up a little bit, put your clamps on very slightly. Now, the reason you have to screw it down is because when you clamp these together, points 1 and 4 tend to want to lift, and thus making your board not flat. So what you do is I put a light pressure on the clamps just to hold it in place. And then I put a screw in number 4, tighten it down, and then come back and put your clamp on nice and tight, clean up your glue, let it sit for 2 to 3 hours or overnight. If you're doing these in production, you can glue 3 or 4 of them together and then come back and glue the
Hey, everybody, we're back, and I hope you guys had enough time to get a little snack or grab a lunch, and let's see what we're going to do next. But before we do that, little shout out reminder, don't forget about the 81 total exhibitors, guys, that are on that listing that you could download. All kinds of extra people there. So, and we'll try to hit as many of them as we can over these 2 days. Honestly, if you do the math, divide by 81, we're talking, we don't have enough time. So we'll try to get to as many as we can, obviously. And there's going to be follow-up to these presentations as well. So hang in there. So next we're going to go to National Capital Trains. Good friend of mine, Bertie Kritzer. And let's go look at his website, guys, because he's been working on this, and it really looks pretty good. So if you go to the directory, go down to the National Capital Trains, click on that directory, nationalcapitaltrains.com. You see what looks like a cool website, and it is a cool website. Link to Facebook, National Capital Trains, upper left-hand corner. And look how simple this is. And simple, and I mean this in a good way. Simple is good. Home, which is where we're at. Our inventory, and you could scroll down and hit on any of those things. So if you wanted to see, I'm on my Berlin, Bangor and Maine, I actually have an HON3 interchange with HON3. So if I scroll over and see what he's got for HON3 locomotives, we could see a bunch of stuff there, a lot of Blackstone stuff, which is really nice running stuff. and competitive prices. A lot of things, and I look at these things. A lot of these things are sold, but that's okay. I would call Bernie, and how do we call Bernie? Look up at the top of the page. We could go to the contact page. All right, and we can do a contact and then scroll down, and you can see what's going on. The About Us guys will tell you all about ordering information, store policies, shipping and return. I love this site, and ordering and all that kind of stuff. So it'll allow you to see what's going on. If you go to our inventory, you could again go down and check other items, everything. Now, for those of you that are on this page or watching us on the page right now, check out this little button with the magnifying glass. Okay, that usually means it's a search page. Okay, so, and I'm accidentally clicking here over here, but if you click on that, a search will come up. What that does is allow you to look for keywords anywhere on this website. So if you wanted to look for Broadway Limited, for example, if I type in Broadway Limited, and then make sure you spell it correctly, unlike me, I'm the world's greatest typist. If you actually then run the search, it'll look for that phrase that you typed in anywhere on the site. So very cool stuff that you could see, and it'll take you to those articles, what have you. And I just did the search, and I've got a Broadway Limited N-scale diesel locomotive article coming up, and I could continue reading because he's got some highlights here. Very nicely done page. Now, and Bernie, this is for you too. We were supposed to start running a 10 page PowerPoint slide, guys. That is not coming up for whatever reason. So we'll chalk that up to some technical difficulty, but we will actually come back to that. All right. So we can't seem to get it up right now, but hang in there, and we will get back to that. Okay, but you've got all kinds of articles here as well, along with the dealers that Bernie supports and sells and all that kind of stuff. Way down at the bottom, which is not usually done on some websites, you've got a kind of like a summary of what's going on. So it's kind of like an index of what the site is all about, and you could see all of those. And any one of those links will take you to that page too. So not only are you seeing one of our great exhibitors, but you're also getting a little lesson in a web page. And this is a great web page as far as how it's organized and stuff. And it'll allow you to see all of that. So I think I was too fast in going to the contact page prior. So I'm actually going to the contact page now and seeing what comes up. But you guys get the idea. So we'll come back. I owe Bernie about 10 or so minutes on that PowerPoint, and we'll take care of it as soon as we could get that. But there's the Contact Us page, quick contact form. What I like about Contact Us is you can email, because usually what happens is when you supply an embedded email in there, it usually alerts the owner right away, and they usually get back to you right away. Okay, and so it'll allow you to see all of that. So Bernie was telling me about this. Bernie, it came out nice. I love it. It's looking really good. All right. So guys, that said, I'm just going to head out of here, knowing that we owe Bernie some more time, as I said, and let's go look at a couple other things in the meantime. So there's always some layouts and a couple of folks, guys, that I really need to mention, because they do so much. And what I mean specifically is they do so much for kids. So what I'm talking about is a Modular Railroad Club. This is Jim Spavins, and he's done a lot of cool things. So if I click on his web page, this, believe it or not, is some of these buildings are a modular. What am I trying to think of? There it is. Tribute to tribute to Springfield. So if I actually click on some of that stuff, it actually shows he's rebuilt a miniature Young building. And so it's almost like looking in a mirror, looking at yourself, who's looking in a mirror, looking at themselves. So it's like a infinity kind of thing. It's silly, but he did such a great job. But they attract, between everything they do, they have like 3 or 4 layouts in that area. And along with Kevin and a couple of the other guys, they do all kinds of stuff. And it's all kid driven, guys. And that's what's so fun about it, because they just hand you one of those really easy throttles from Lionel, for example, and there's nothing to it. Or they hand you a smartphone with the Lionel app on it, and you can run trains. In 2 seconds, you could show kids how to run trains. So really interesting stuff that you could do all of that. Okay. So I love talking to these guys, and they have modular, 3-rail modular packages that you could develop with them, guys. And we'll have more about them in the future when we get to the layouts, highlighted video virtual show coming up in a couple of months. So we've got a lot more to say about that, but they've done a lot together. And it's just a round robin group. If you look down all the way down to the bottom about the club, it just tells you all about them. And that's why I always, guys, when I want to learn about someone, I always look for the about page, about the club, about us, and it gives you the background. I went to Bachman, and we're going to have them on later today. And I went to the website, and there's an about us. They started in 1883. Who knew? I didn't know. So I love looking at that stuff. You learn so much about everybody that's here. So interesting stuff. So I'm going to bug out of here. Okay. And the next one I want you to pay attention to is as I scroll down a little bit here, let's go to Bollinger Edgerly scale trains. That's Brian and Jill, guys. And if you've ever met them, these guys are fantastic. And they're really nice. Excuse me for a second. Excuse me. So if you look at their website, they have all kinds of new stuff coming out. Really, really kind of cool stuff. And we'll later on, probably tomorrow, show you a little bit of what they're doing, what's new. But look for yourself. Look at all these things. Kits for under 20 bucks. A whole new line of kits, 20 plus kits. So I urge you to keep your eye on this page and go to the people that come to our show and see what they have to offer and talk to them. And honestly, by this time next year, you'll be able to chat with them face to face. But this is what we're doing to bring your attention to these folks right now. So it'll allow you to see that. All right. So don't hesitate to call these folks. The one thing I like about this hobby, I alluded it to a little bit earlier to you. It's a different kind of person. I think people are more friendly. I can remember going to a couple of club layouts, and they weren't open, and we called, and they said, "Oh no, I'm leaving right now, but you know what? I'll stay and show you around." Everywhere I go, that happens. When you go to somebody, you want to see somebody's home layout, you can see how much hospitality they afford us. So big part of this hobby is, to me, the camaraderie that goes with it. And I couldn't tell you how many times I've talked to people about the train show not happening. What are we going to do? We usually rent the club car at the Steaming Tender, or we usually go to this dinner at Cal's and meet there. And so all of this tradition is postponed, but only for a year. So we'll be back, and it'll allow us to do that. But that's the kind of stuff I miss. We were talking at the lunch break today, and the guys were saying, "John, don't you miss being in your office and being bugged every 10 minutes?" And I said, well, yes and no. Yes, I actually do miss it. And then that kind of stuff. So, just got word from the studio, guys. We have the PowerPoint. So let's go to the PowerPoint. I'm going to narrate a little bit. So we're going to go back to Bernie Kritzer's National Capital Trains, guys. Let's roll that PowerPoint. And I'll just, I've got some notes to say about each one, guys. But if you look through the first couple of slides, okay, it's all about their products, okay? So, and we're gonna have this available for you to download at a later time. And as you scroll through slides 1 through 8, Mike, you could actually see what's going on there. But do me a favor and scroll down to slide 9, all right? And down at slide 9, guys, that's all about show specials. And Bernie did something pretty smart, all right? It's free shipping. And that's because if you were at the show, you wouldn't have paid shipping. So I love the fact that these guys are trying to simulate what it would have been like had you been at the show. So thanks for that, Bernie. I really appreciate that, all right? So do me a favor now, Mike, head down to the last slide, slide 10, and show contact information. Guys, so if you need to talk to Bernie, he's on standby. So give him a call, email him, tell him you just seen his beautiful website. You've got questions about what's happening, what products he has, all that kind of stuff. But honestly, and I should mention this more often, let these folks know that you saw them at this show because they wanted this show so they could get some more exposure. Let's show them that it's working. Okay. And I hope it's working. So I'm sure to a degree it is. So I appreciate everybody that's here. So that being said, guys, let's head away. Bernie, we finally got it in. I appreciate that. And I appreciate that, the fact that you put that all together for us as well. And one last time, the website really looks good. The font, the colors, very professional looking. I love it. And that's me talking like a geek right now, guys, because that's what I usually do when I'm not doing this. So let's move on and let's go to Intermountain Railway, guys. So we've got a little bit of discovery on their website. Then we're going to play a little video that they prepared for us. So I'm going to go look for Intermountain, and I'm on my directory again, and I'm looking at Intermountain. And this is Doug Dolph, and we're going to go look at Doug's site. All kinds of he's got a nice tagline, by the way. I love taglines where detail makes the difference. We've got a couple of taglines coming up that are hysterical. I love them. Our tagline used to be, I'll give you a little story. Our tagline used to be, if you can't find it at this show, it no longer exists. And that's generally true, right? So you could find all kinds of stuff at the show. So I had this one guy email me and says, that's not true. I went there looking for something and I couldn't find it. So your tagline's not true. And I said, what? So I changed the tagline. If you can't find it at the show, it probably no longer exists. I mean, silly stuff. But this is a great tagline for Intermountain, where detail makes a difference. Guys, they're out of Colorado. They, a few years back, did one of our commemorative cars for us. You know, each year we have a commemorative car that if you're an HO scale layout, you get one for free. And then it's in our store for purchase, all to raise money, of course, for our grant program, for our building of for help in the building. And then as we look at this, they've got HO, N scale, Z scale, guys, Z scale, interesting stuff. So they've got all kinds of stuff that you can do. Customer service, DCC assistance. They're good guys. They are in the BLC. You see me wandering off in space. I'm picturing where they are again. They are actually in the section more towards door entrance number 8, which is where the ATMs are. And they've had those tables forever, plus a month. And really what's happening is they'll be there for the longest time as well. There are some vendors that are so used to being in the same space, guys. And here's another show story for you. People want to be in the same space because everybody knows where they are. So when they are doing return visits, they're going back to buy more product, they know right where to go. And the biggest complaint I get from the show, not that there's a lot of complaints, but the biggest complaint I get is the show is the same every year, the same people in the same place. And I say, ooh, that's tough to juggle. So honestly, I side and I err on the side of the exhibitors. They get to be where they want within reason, unless they want to grow and et cetera. And I'll tell you one more story after this. So they get to be where they want because people want to know where they are. They're used to where they are. And I'm going to side and err on the folks that come to the show and pay money to be in the show. And the other folks, 20%, usually on average, guys, 20% of the vendors are new anyway. Especially in this hobby, which scares me to a degree. People retire, that kind of stuff. They're no longer in the show. So interesting. So the other story, I've got a block of 10 tables, right? They're in a rectangle. You guys know, if you've been to the show, what that's like. So we have 8-foot tables in a block of 10. So they're probably 4 down the sides, 2 on the ends, and it makes a rectangle with space to exit. And inevitably, someone says, I need more space. And the other guy in the same block says, I need more space. And they both say, but we don't want to move. So that's kind of hard to deal with. So we try to juggle all of that. And really, I try to be as accommodating as I can. So if it really comes down to it, I actually look at how long they've been in the show. and what they sell, and I try to convince them, hey, here's a better spot. Would you give it a try? Those kinds of things, and we usually can juggle it quite well. I try to be as accommodating as I can with all of this. Okay, so anyways, back to Intermountain. Let's go check out that video. So they have a wonderful, almost a 9-minute video, guys, that will play for them. So go ahead and roll that video on Intermountain, please. Thanks, guys.
Intermountain Railway Company is pleased to announce the 4750 cubic foot rib-sided 3-bay covered hoppers in both HO and N scale. These cars will be available in 19 colorful paint schemes with multiple road numbers available in each one. Each model will include sharp lettering and painting, etched metal roof walks, road-specific hatch details, Intermountain precision metal wheel sets, and operating knuckle couplers. Pullman Standard began producing the 4750 covered hoppers in 1972. In production throughout the 70s and 80s, the car has proven to be one of the most popular freight car designs in the history of Pullman Standard, with over 56,000 cars produced. The primary use for these cars is hauling all types of grain, including corn, wheat, barley, and feed grains for livestock. These shipments can be as small as a single car up to solid unit trains destined for large production facilities or ocean ports for export. Additionally, the car is used to handle commodities such as dry chemicals including bentonite, potash, and soda ash. The 19 paint schemes available will be Burlington Northern, Kansas City Southern, CSX, Illinois Central Gulf, Grain Train, BNSF Round Herald, Clem Co-op, Santa Fe, AM Grain Express, AM Brown Paint, Union Pacific Bicentennial with 1 road number as per prototype, State Line Elevator, Farm Rail I Care series with 9 road numbers featuring the names of Farm Rail employees, Farmers Elevator, Grain Handling Corporation, Good Seed and Grain Company, Pomeroy Co-op Grain, Evergreen Fish Hatchery, and Union Pacific Third Panel Shield. Wearing a tremendous variety of paint schemes and colors, the bulk of these cars are still in service today and can be seen throughout North America on Class 1s, regionals, and short lines alike. These popular cars will be arriving soon, so be sure to contact your favorite Intermountain dealer and order today. Intermountain is proud to present the bi-level auto rack, now in both HO and N scale. The auto rack is a style of car developed in the 1950s, specifically to haul automobiles using a flat car with racks mounted on it similar to early auto transport trucks. These cars evolved over time until they were totally enclosed, with anti-vandal panels and full-length roofs. The style of bi-level auto rack produced by Intermountain typically handles SUVs, minivans, and small pickup trucks from the manufacturing facilities to distribution sites. These colorful cars can be seen in service throughout North America. In this most recent run, we made 11 paint schemes of this iconic railcar, 5 of which are all new. These unique models feature prototypical etched metal see-through side panels, Intermountain metal wheel sets, and metal couplers. The next installment of the HO scale auto racks is in production now and should be arriving in the near future. Reservations for the N scale is due on November 30th, so get yours in today. The new schemes being offered are Union Pacific, Grand Trunk Western, Providence and Worcester, Southern, Western Pacific, Ferromex Gray, BNSF Brown, Canadian National white with red logo, KCS dual logo, Transportación Ferroviaria Mexicano, Conrail brown no quality logo, Norfolk Southern Thoroughbred, CP Rail, BNSF New Image small logo, CSX Patch, and Union Pacific large Building America logo. All previous runs of this amazing car sold out in record time. The next run of HO scale should be arriving soon, followed by the N scale version. So be sure to contact your favorite Intermountain dealer and get yours for sure. The year is 1996. Frank Angstead, along with the team at Intermountain Railway, realizes the need for a better wheel set for model railroad rolling stock. It was that year that we produced our very first HO scale nickel-plated brass insulated wheel set. Fast forward 30 years later. After shipping over 11 million axles, Intermountain is the standard by which all O, HO, and N scale metal wheel sets are judged. Enthusiasts from around the world swap out their stock wheels for Intermountain wheels to improve the look and performance of their freight cars. Our non-magnetic wheel sets follow the NMRA RP25 standard, are chemically blackened to provide a prototypical appearance. The tread width on all of our standard wheels is 0.110 inches. Intermountain offers HO scale prototypical 33, 36, and 38 inch wheels. N scale prototypical 33 and 36 inch wheels, as well as 34.5 inch wheels that are suitable for microtrains trucks. Intermountain Railway also offers semi-scale wheels in HO, featuring a tread width of 0.088 inches for a more narrow wheel effect. These are available in 28, 33, 36, and 38 inch scale diameters. At the pinnacle of Intermountain's wheel sets are the high detail semi-scale axles, available in HO 33 and 36 inch scale diameters and N scale 33, 36, and 34.5 inch scale diameters. The front and back profile of these wheels offers a more prototypically accurate design. When you want to make sure that your rolling stock is rolling at its best, remember that model railroading runs on Intermountain.